right, so this to be consistent, I'm telling myself I'm being consistent. So my second angel story, this is part two, was when I was 14 years old. And it turned out, I still remember like it was yesterday. It was Labor Day weekend, and my mom decided to take us children out fishing. We all loaded up and we all went fishing, and so we ended up going to um, a spot or place that we've always gone to um, over in Indiana. And so we we arrived there. We're going to speed this thing up. So we arrived there, and one of the other things, like looking back, that stood out was that we arrived there and we were at the park, and there was this kid that was like he was special needs. And I make mention of that because he's gonna come back and he plays a huge part in this. And there's a saying that my mom used to always say, "Mind how you treat people," because there was this kid, and I remember specifically my sister. Uh, I have a set of twin sisters that's right before me, and I just remember us like laughing at him because he was different, right? And we didn't think too much of it. He was just different. Uh, I'm not gonna say necessarily if he had Down syndrome or just he was just different. He physically looked different, and he was just different. And I just remember us laughing at him. I don't know why. I don't know. Just maybe how like he was carrying himself like he was big for his age, and then appearance wise, he just looked different. And I just remember my sister and them laughing at him and making fun of him, right? But he did none of it. So Bendix Park, that was the name of that park over in Indiana, and so we didn't think nothing of it. So it was so hot. It was Labor Day weekend, right? So it's still hot. Boom, boom, boom. So we all decided to go swimming, and so we um, wasn't like just basically took it for granted. And as time went on, I just remember my twin sisters and I. It was one on either side, and we were playing like jail, like prisoners, whatever it was. But we were just joking like kids do, right? I was about like what 12 or 13 at the time, and I remember us all been in the water 1 second, and then I felt instantly that there was a drop off. Either nobody knew about it, but there was a drop off in the water, and we dropped off into the water. And mind you, at the time, um, I didn't know how to swim, and I'm not sure if they even did, but I remember feeling it, feeling like going up under the water, and then everything turned black. Literally, like everything turned black, and it was just like you just lost like almost like a loss of like consciousness. But I just remember everything just going black, and I remember things were what felt like all of like 5 minutes, or like may have been longer than that, but and I remember, um, I remember that happening, and everything was going black. And I remember what looks like, if you can picture like halo, like rings of like rainbows and lights and different lights, just right. Like if I flip this, see the difference? That's exactly what it looks like. And it was just like it was just going. It was just going in rings and rings and rings, right? And I remember all of a sudden it just stopped. All the lights stopped. And I saw this ring, And then as the ring like got bigger, the bend, that same angel that I seen when I was a little boy, that I made mention to in the first video, she appeared. And I remember what looks like had to been heaven. And this big old gate, it was a huge gate, kind of like one of those gates that you see like in Beverly Hills or like Hollywood, right? It was a huge gate. And you couldn't see the top, but you knew that it was a gate, like a gold, it was a gold-plated gate with like the bars. But you couldn't, and even though like it was symbolic of bars, you couldn't see in it. You just like seen the bars, like the gold bars. And she comes and she blocks my view. And I remember her saying, you have to go back. You have to go back. It's not your time. You have to go back. It's not your time. You have to go back and it's not your time. Like she was telling me, like, you haven't fulfilled your mission. You have to go back. And it was like she, like when I was a little boy, like she took my hand and she led me back away. And it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like everything is big, but you can't measure, because like she was big enough to where like sitting here, I could see it. But when you got closer, you could tell like she was a lot bigger, like taller and bigger. When she blocked, she was blocking the view of what was on the other side. And so that's why I couldn't see beyond those gates, and I couldn't see the, after she came into the picture, I couldn't see past her because she was big. I could measure it going against the gates, but once she came into the view, I couldn't see around it anymore. And it was just like she blocked all of it. And so it was like she's leading me back and shit. You have to go back. And I just remember we were walking in the same way that I fell and I dropped off in that water. When we were walking, I noticed that we reached a certain point and I fell. And I went back into my body. And when I made it back in there, it was just like water just coming out of my mouth, water coming out of my mouth. And when I opened my eyes, that boy, that very same boy that we were making fun of, that we was laughing at, was trained in CPR and trained in water rescue. Saved all three of us.